Yo, as always, like, share, subscribe. Now let's just get into it. So I asked y'all to send me some more questions, and y'all did. So let's just get into it. So Michigan 42, OSU 27. Shout out to you. He said, "How would you feel if Michigan won the national championship by default? Like, say we beat Georgia, but Alabama had to forfeit the title game." Now, with that, I got split feelings. Like, I would be somewhat disappointed because we didn't get to win it the conventional way or the right way, some people would say. But I'd still be happy somewhat because we won the championship. Now, the thing that would make me mad, of course, is we're going to have OSU fans and fans of other teams saying, "Oh, y'all wouldn't have beat us if we didn't have COVID, and y'all got a cheap national championship, y'all got a fake national," that type of stuff. So that's the reason why I wouldn't want it that way. I mean, if we did, it is what it is. They can't take the ring from you because that's the rules they put in place. But to have to hear them, it would still be like, "Oh, okay, just shut up." But yeah. Let's say Rip Serwin, appreciate the comment. Says, "If you were Georgia OC O line, how would you prepare for Hutchinson and Ojabo?" How I would prepare for them is on certain passing downs. Like, if I know I got a good play called and I know that this should work, I'm leaving 7-8 blockers in because I need to know that I'm gonna have a good enough protection to execute this play. Because you can have a good play called up, but if you don't make sure you're blocking well up front, those dudes will blow up a good play. Dude might be wide open, but your quarterback doesn't have time to get it to him, or he gets sacked. So to deal with them, I'm leaving in. I'd chip them when I have running backs coming out of the backfield and things like that. But also, I'm on certain plays, I'm leaving in extra blockers and maybe even extra linemen. Max protect sometimes. Because these dudes can really wreck your game especially when you get in the red zone area. They'll get a sack or something and ruin your drive. Now you got to kick the field goal if you can make it. So that's what I would do. Max protect, chip them, leave in extra blockers. You have to respect these dudes. If you don't respect them, they'll wreck your game plan. It's just simple as that. Shout out to Platano Power 95 says, "Describe the concept of mugging and how does Mike McDonald use this to confuse offenses within his defensive schedule? What are the pros and cons of this concept?" Now, mugging, that is where, for those that don't know, mugging is where, let's say you got your front four. You got D in, D tackle. Then in between them, you may have two linebackers or a corner or something acting like they're blitzing. So they're right there. Then you got your D tackle and your D in on the other side. So the thing about that is it makes the offensive line have to adjust for those guys that they think might be blitzing. So they'll switch their protection to account for those dudes, and then when they switch, those dudes may still blitz, but they may drop out. So if they drop out, then that can confuse the offensive line. They've changed their protection to account for those dudes, and now it's going to be their offensive line scheme is going to be messed up on that play. Because if those dudes drop out, then they've already changed the protection. So now you got those dudes looking for those dudes to blitz, and they don't, and somebody else can come free. Now the con is, let's say they drop out and they switch to a run, and they run it right where those dudes vacated. That's a way that could happen. Or if those dudes are at the line like they're going to blitz, of course, doing the mug technique or scheme, and then something to the flat or something like that. it could, because you have to you need people to account for those screen and swing passes. If they're in the middle of the line, then it can be taken advantage of. Let's see. Ross Hickson, appreciate the comment. He says, I know they should, but do you think Michigan runs any no huddle to take advantage of Georgia's big man in the middle? He doesn't seem to have a very big gas tank. They definitely need to do this. Now, Bama, I know we all saw him dying out there against Bama. Against Bama, he did not. Bama did not. They didn't run no huddle. They ran like a tempo. So we do some tempo. So I would expect us to continue to try to do it to tire him out. Like, you see something works, you got to go back to it until they show you that they're prepared for it. So they definitely need to run some tempo or even no huddle, which we don't do no huddle much. The only time I've seen us do it is like 2-minute drill drives before the half. I mean, at the end of the half. And when we do it, it works. So I might try some of that, if we're having trouble running the ball. But the tempo I would do anyway. Let's see. Appreciate the comment. Kevin Cornwell says, I know you talked about it a bit in your last video, but I'd love to know your thoughts on the 2022 recruiting class so far. I mean, the class right now has got a lot of studs in it. A lot of studs. The wide receiver I just talked about in my last video. I can't remember his last name, but and they got a ton of DBs. They got a ton of highly ranked DBs. And I saw a post, they call it the soon-to-be no-fly zone. So us winning the Big Ten and making the playoff, it's having a good effect in recruiting. We're getting a lot of good players, a lot of 4 stars. So that's great. But yeah, so the class has a lot of studs in it. So hopefully, I mean, we see these rankings. It's not guaranteed they all gonna be studs, but from the ranking point of view, yeah, it looks good. Let's see. Rip Serwin, appreciate the comment. He says, when the pocket falls apart, which quarterback is better under pressure, McNamara or Bennett? Now, with McNamara and Bennett has the legs, so that gives you an advantage that he's somewhat mobile. He can run better than Cade at least, so that's an advantage right there. Now, with the pressure coming, Cade can do. He's a little, I guess you would say, wily, like a wily veteran, they say. So sometimes when he's about to get sacked or something, sometimes he gets out of there and sees it coming. But also, he just doesn't make many mistakes. Like, he doesn't really make many mistakes. So as far as the body with the legs, I would give it to Bennett. But as far as decision making with pressure, I would give it to Cade, because Cade knows, okay, my job is not to turn it over, not to make a mistake. Don't get strip sacked or anything like that, and just don't make a mistake. I got a good defense. Let me trust it. Bennett has made more mistakes. He's got 7 picks. Cade has 4. So I'm gonna take Cade's mental, but having the legs, that's always something good. So if I had to pick, I'm gonna take Cade. He's our quarterback. I'm gonna take Cade because I know he's smart enough to know not to turn it over and live to fight another down. Appreciate the comment. Alpha Leo 84. He says, "Do you think this will be a low-scoring game?" That's what everybody's saying it will be, and honestly, I can't really go against that. So I'd probably say like 21-17, 24-21, or 27-21, or something like that. Like under 30. So that's what I would say. Probably under 30, something like that. It's going to be 2 good defenses, 2 teams that want to run the ball and play action off of it. So this could be a low-scoring game because both teams know what the other team wants to do. So that's it. It's like a hard-nosed Big Ten game, kind of like the Penn State game. Could be like that. Low scoring affair, hard nosed, good defense. Whoever doesn't make mistakes and can muster up a good enough offense wins. Owen Kaiser says, do you think Cade McNamara will go pro this year even though he is a junior? Why would he and why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? I don't think he's leaving, honestly. And why the reason not, because he can come back and probably get his draft stock higher. Because he really hasn't shown that much to get drafted high. Like he hasn't really shown that much. This is a passing era. Everybody's got gaudy stats. And Cade's stats they just aren't impressive. So this would be a chance for him to stay, learn the system even more, and get Harbaugh's trust to sling the ball around more. Harbaugh next year, Cade could take a jump, and Harbaugh trusts him even more to pass it and not be so dependent on the run. And why would he? The only reason I could see him going pro or leaving is JJ. So that's the only thing I could see. I couldn't see any other reason for him to go pro, because I know he's not high on draft boards. So it'd probably just be he knows JJ's about to take the job and he just takes his chances going pro. But even then, I don't think he's going pro. I think he'd transfer. I think he still wants to prove that he can put up numbers, you know what I'm saying? And, he's still got time to do that and then get his draft stock higher. It's all about getting that draft stock high. Let's see. Work of art. Appreciate the comment. Says, talk about how Georgia asking Mel Tucker how to beat Michigan. Now, I saw this, and when I saw it, I was like, huh? And then I looked it up, and the player said that Mel Tucker kind of told him, like, just stick to y'all game plan and, stick to your keys and you guys will come out on top. Like, the player said he didn't really give him much, and there's not much he can give him. You know what Michigan wants to do. We want to run it down your throat. We want to stop the run and get after you with Aiden and Ojabo. So it ain't much he can give him. Like, what's he going to what can he tell him? Hopefully you get some questionable calls and get a touchdown overturned and you have Kenneth Walker, the best running back in the nation. I'm gonna send him to you. So he really can't tell him that much. You know what I'm saying? Because even the success they had with the running game, that was just Kenneth Walker was making crazy good plays. So it ain't much he can tell him. Everybody knows what Michigan wants to do. It's just, can you stop it? And can you execute enough on offense to, win the game? Brett Byer, 14, appreciate the comment. He says, how good is Georgia's secondary? Can Michigan throw against them? I believe Michigan can. Georgia's secondary, they got a good secondary. But if you were to say the weakness of Georgia's defense, it would be the secondary. Because they can, as we saw against Bama, they're a younger secondary. Like, Georgia lost a lot of talent last year, and these are younger players. Now, young at this point in the season, it don't mean as much because these dudes have been playing all year. You know what I'm saying? At this point, there are no freshmen on the team. So all these dudes all these first-time starters and stuff, they're comfortable by now, but that's the weakness on their defense. And I think we can throw on them. Because the things we do, Cade can dink and dunk you, the screen game, the swing passes and things like that. Yeah, we can do enough to win, definitely. Now, can we throw like Bama? Maybe, but I wouldn't. That isn't what I'd want the game to plan to be. Let's see. Issa Fromm says, who do we replace Hassan with? Donovan and Corum are faster but smaller. Hassan was running in between the tackles and could break free. It will hurt our run game next year. As far as on our roster right now, I would say Dunlap. Dunlap is like 6 foot, 6'1", something like that, and he's like 220. So that's the guy, and he's built like Hassan. So that's the guy I would say would be that short yardage back. But I got trust in Donovan Edwards because Donovan Edwards, he ain't a little dude. He's just a freshman. So this year, this offseason in the strength and conditioning program, I expect Donovan Edwards to come back with probably about 10, 15 pounds heavier so he can be that more in between the tackles guy. But those dudes, we should be fine, honestly. I mean, Haskins was a bell cow, so I'm not taking anything from him because he's a beast. And you need that type of dude that's always going to fall forward and get yards. But I got trust that those two dudes can handle it. And also Dunlap, we'll see. But he got in some games this year. But he's lower on the depth chart. But with Haskins leaving, I expect him to have a bigger role. And he's got the weight and the size to be that kind of bell cow type short yardage back. Let's see. Appreciate the comment. The big brother says, will we be able to stop Georgia's run game? This is the key to the game. I believe so. Georgia doesn't have like a great running game or backs that you would look at and say these dudes are something serious, like a Kenneth Walker or something. They got good backs. Like Cook is pretty fast. Zamir White's kind of big, but they're good backs. But I think we can definitely slow down their running game. I think that we could definitely do that because not too many teams have had success running on us consistently. There just hasn't been that many teams. So the thing that would worry me is when we do slow down their running game or the extensions of the running game, that's the swing passes to Cook out of the backfield and throwing to him in the flat, because those are just extensions of the running game. You throwing it at the line of scrimmage and stuff like that to a back and stuff. Those are just extensions of the running game, screens and things like that. That's what worries me the more is like the screen game and like those kind of swing passes and things like this, because we've struggled with that this year somewhat. So that kind of worries me more than just their running game. But their running game, I definitely think we can slow it down. Caleb the Verberger says, do you think our secondary is good enough to lock down Georgia? I think we're good enough to slow them down. I wouldn't say lock them down because we play a off kind of coverage a lot of the times, or it's more of an off coverage a lot of the time. So with us doing that, it gives them kind of free yards, but then they get in the red zone and the drive will stall out. Now, our secondary is much improved from last year, mainly because we don't have Don Brown calling man blitz all the time. So the thing about that is our corners hung with Ohio State's three NFL type wide receivers. So I don't have any doubt that we can play with Georgia and slow them down. The only dude that really scares me out of Georgia's receiving core is Brock Bowers, the tight end at 6'5", and runs like a 4.5, high 4.4s, something like that. So he's a beast, and he's Stetson Bennett's go-to wide receiver. So he's what worries me. They also got George Pickens, but he's coming off of I think it's an ACL. And I was watching some Georgia podcasts, and they were saying that he'll probably be like 70, 80% by game time. So he's not even 100%. So he'll be a future NFL player, but it's not the same. So I'm really just worried about Brock Bowers. And what we do is we keep the safeties over the top. So I'm not really worried about us giving up a big play, and that's just how we play. And then also, if the thing that helps our secondary is Aiden and Ojabo. So yeah, you want to call passing plays and you want to throw downfield and do these things. You can't do it consistently because you got to worry about them dudes wrecking the play, wrecking your game plan. So that makes our secondary look even better than it is. It's just having those two dudes causing havoc up front. But yeah, we can definitely slow them down. Omar Rodriguez says, how is your defense so good? Well, the defense is so good, one, because we don't have Don Brown anymore. I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but it has to be said because it was that important to get rid of him. It was that important. But the defense is so good because we do a lot of things, and we've got some studs on defense and some seniors on defense. Like you got Aiden, you got Josh Ross, you got Brad Hawkins. So you got some senior dudes, and then you got some dudes that are just freaks like Aiden, Ojabo, Dax Hill, so you got those dudes. But you also have them in a system now that they trust. They trust that if we're in a man defense, they're not just going to be on the island. There's going to be safeties over the top. If they have a problem, they can go to the coaching staff and say, Coach, this ain't working. Mike, I think Mr. McDonald, whatever they call him, I think we should do this. You know what I'm saying? So they got that trust and belief in the coaching staff. And we do a lot of things. Like we don't just run man. We don't just run zone. We run a sum of everything. Off coverage, press man coverage, too deep. We blitz. We zone it up. So we do some of everything, and it's more of an NFL scheme. And plus, we got Aiden and Ojabo. Them dudes are beasts. That helps a lot. Appreciate the comment. TJ says, who's our go-to wide receiver with Ronnie back next year? Honestly, this is it's a tough question because this year you really wouldn't know because we just spread it around so much. Now, Cornelius has the most yards. He's got like 600 yards, I think. But next year, it could be Ronnie. It could be him because, yeah, he's coming off an injury, but he may be 100% by the season starts. We don't know. It may be Roman. If I had to put my money on it, I'd say Roman Wilson or Cornelius probably. Or maybe Andrell Anthony. I can't give you a for sure on this one. Any of those dudes could have a big offseason and then it clicks like, okay, I'm an NFL receiver. Like, you can go to me. You look to me first. I'm going to be open. So these dudes been on campus for a while, and Andrell's just a beast. So somebody's going to have a jump this offseason and is going to take that next step. So I'm not sure who it will be, but it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have, but I'm not sure who the number one will be next year. Honestly, I can't tell you that one. Meek911 says, do you think the Georgia team and its fans might be overlooking Michigan? Yeah. Now, the Georgia team itself probably isn't, but the fans are. Like the fans are just so SEC cocky. They think that they can, for some reason, SEC fans, they feel like they're all Bama. Now, Bama has the hardware and the players to get that respect and to feel like that we about to trounce you. But for some reason, Georgia and some of these other SEC teams feel like that also. Like they don't want to give credit for anything. You talk about the running back, the running game. They think they got better running backs than us, even though their top two backs, Hassan Haskins has as many yards and one more touchdown than them. Like our backup running back has 900 yards. That's almost as much as y'all two starters. So they don't even. Our running backs are better than yours. The only person they want to give that they respect is Aiden. Besides that, they really don't respect anybody on the team. Y'all don't get any big plays. Y'all just run it up the middle. Okay, you'll find out. But they don't. They're overlooking us. They got that SEC homers. They just think they're just going. They can just show up and win the game. Basically, that's what Georgia fans think. So, yeah, they're definitely overlooking us, and they're already thinking that they're playing Bama. Honestly, they're already looking ahead to that because they don't give us a chance. The Georgia fans, at least. Ryan Hansen says, "Will you guys kick Georgia's butt?" I hope so. I can't guarantee it, but I hope so. Georgia plays a Big Ten style, so that makes us feel comfortable in itself. You know what I'm saying? They're not just explosive everywhere. They want to run the ball, play action, and play great defense, like a Wisconsin. So that don't scare us. So yeah, I'm hoping we will. Cheeto, appreciate the comment, says, "What you think the score will be?" Honestly, I don't know. It probably will be a lower scoring game because with these defenses, these defenses can get in the rhythm and lock down. And so with that being said, you might have a low scoring game like the Penn State game. What was it? 17-21, something like that. Or 17-20, something like that. A low scoring game. Whoever makes the least mistakes pretty much wins. So it could be that type of game. Honestly, that's probably what it's gonna be. Who's better, Andrell Anthony or AJ Henning? This is an easy one. Andrell Anthony is better. If we're talking receiver, it's Andrell Anthony easily. AJ Henning probably has 4 or 5 catches on the year, if that. Andrell Anthony, he's probably going to be a stud in the upcoming years. He's going to be a beast. Now, AJ Henning, he gets most of his yards on reverses and on punt return. That's what he does. He's a jet sweep, reverse, and punt return guy, kind of like Eddie McDoom, kind of like we used Eddie McDoom. If for those Michigan fans that remember that. But yeah, Andrell is the more complete receiver, definitely. Like Andrell Anthony, you could probably put him at punt return and run him on the reverses and things like that we do. The more complete player is Andrell. It's not even a question, honestly. Not to offend, but it's not close. But I think that was all y'all questions. TRD, BRD, who's competing for in next year? You got to elaborate on that question. I don't know what you're trying to say. But yeah, that was the questions. I hope I answered all your questions as best as I could. I should be going live this Sunday. So also I'll post another pic and y'all drop more questions in there that y'all want me to answer. But that's all I got for this one, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, go blue.